Right, I'm praying that I catch this. This is like my childhood being relived every time I see one of these. Oh, it's gone. It's gone. Peacock butterfly, first one of the year. And also we're spotting here. Oh, incredible. I mean, this is where you need a better zoom. That there, a bee fly. Look at that. You would have to have a pretty good zoom. Fortunately, we took a picture of these in a very similar spot the other week. So if you look at this incredible creature, look at the huge mouthpiece, or proboscis as they call it, and you can see the bee fly in action there. It's going around this blossom here. It doesn't have to land because its mouth parts are so long, so it literally just hovers above the flower. If you can get that just feeding there. It just hovers above the flower and its mouthpiece can reach all the way in without it having to touch the flower. It isn't a bee, it hasn't got a sting, it is just a regular insect, but obviously it has the characteristics of a bee, which will put some predators off. And there it is there, very busily just hovering around these flowers here. Just having a good feed, and there are so many flowers here at the moment. This is such a fantastic time of year to witness, but for wildlife in particular, which has had to hunker down for the winter period. Look at that in action there. Incredible species. Interesting facts about bee flies. Their young are parasitic, so they don't have hives like bees or even other insects, but they larvae which will feed on live creatures. So they will lay the egg inside another animal, normally some kind of caterpillar is the unsuspecting victim, but they have been known to choose other sort of victims as well. Basically their larvae will live inside the host until such a time it is big enough to go and fend for itself. So that is nature, isn't it, really? Not every story is a nice fluffy one. And the larvae of the bee fly is something to behold, isn't it, really, when you think about, you know, the different sort of breeding patterns that different creatures have. That is quite a remarkable one. There it is now. I wonder if I can get closer with this. This is the absolute downside. I'm trying to do this on a camera phone. I really need better technology. Oh, there we go. Great shot there. You can see the mouthpiece extended there. It's absolutely huge. Absolutely huge, and that just means it can get a full range of these flowers. It's feeding on a celandine at the moment, which was why I stopped to look at this spot, in all honesty, because moving away from the bee fly, let's just see how close we can get to it. Oh, it's gone. We can see this area here, how much celandine is on display at the moment. Look at this, this is incredible. So this is all over the side of our streams here. Celandine, a flower which only opens in the sun. It is a very mild day today. I'm very lucky to be out and enjoying this. And what that means is all these flowers are open, which means all the insects which want the nectar from these are all out as well. And this is why spring is such a beautiful season, because you've got these splashes of colour and all the insects are going absolutely wild for this. So there's so much to see right now. And that is just in one little spot next to our footbridge, right here. Zoom out so you can see it a little better. So obviously we did some work here to sort of clear back some of the vegetation which would allow the flowers to grow, and you can see they have done just that. And this piece of work, with the rest of the friends of the Holmer Lake group, we hope to replicate all the way down the stream, because think of how many flowers that will generate and how many insects that will generate as a result. And if you look after the insect populations in your area, every other layer of the ecosystem above that will also start to become more healthy. If you've got a variety of insect life and a variety of different habitats supporting that, everything else follows. This is a great day to be out. I'm really enjoying myself today. Okay, now look at this guy. What an absolute monster. So it's been a very busy time for our amphibians down at the lake. There have been huge numbers sort of getting together and mating, actually, all sort of on the pathways and sort of around the edges of the pool. And we've had lots of nighttime sightings of these. This guy is out in the midday sun, which is insane. Now I would say this is not a frog, this is a toad. Judging by sort of like the skin more than anything else, and generally the sort of shape of it. I am going to move this to some moister bushes. Toads don't frequent the ponds and sort of waterways that frogs do. They prefer to hang around in sort of wet vegetation, although they will sort of like splash around in puddles to kind of moisten themselves up, but that's not their sort of preferred habitat. They like being around where insects might be, which is fundamentally what their diet is. So they'll eat insects, small slugs, and the places where they hang out, the wet vegetation, is where they will find most of those. There it goes, look at that. It's obviously got a destination in mind. So maybe this is on a pilgrimage to the lake to lay some spawn, which looks similar to frog spawn but in a very different pattern. Frog spawn you will find in clumps, toad spawn you will find in strings, small strings. And I think, judging by the way that this guy's got a march on, must be a girl, and that's where it's going. Go and make the next generation. I may assist it on its travels over this pathway because I know that tarmac is hot and the sun is very, very warm at the moment. It's a warm day, and that's not going to do them a lot of good. There it goes. What a sighting. I did not expect to see that on my average lunch break. This beautiful little white flower here is woodland anemone, and I love to see woodland anemone because it only grows in some of the most finest and fertile soils, symbolic with established habitats, and our ancient woodland provides it just that. It does like a little bit of partial shade, but what it also likes is when the sun is on it, that is the times you'll see it opening up. If the weather bites and it's really cold, really damp, really, you know, unsuitable for pollinating insects, it will close up and preserve its nectar. So to see it open on a day like this, it just establishes that it's, you know, such a fine day, because it's a fair weather flower. It only opens up when the weather is at its finest, and it knows the insects that feed on it and will pollinate it are going to be around. And it's a very fine addition. It's in among the celandine here. Again, that is another flower which has exactly the same strategy. It closes when the weather is unsuitable for the insects that will visit it, and then it comes out when the sun is out, and the sun is really out today. It's absolutely stunning. It's about a beautiful spring day as you could hope for, kicking off April. And there it is, an array of colour. And just another example of why this particular area is so important in our wider ecosystem. This is a real diverse place with lots of different species. That's all for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back next week with another bulletin.